All right, so here we got an air quality detector. Stick around, let's see what it's all about. All right, so we've got this. I think you probably saw it in a mail bag. This is an air quality detector. And so it does still have a full charge. I think this has been charged for about a month and then just stuck off to the side. And so you get a CO2 measurement, HCHO, TVOC 0.001, same thing. 24 Celsius temperature, humidity is 59%. Really, there's no settings to be set. This is giving us a green light. I guess it progressively goes to red the worse the environment gets. And it literally says, don't put it out in the rain. Of course, obviously it's not sealed. Don't put it in excessively dusty or bad environments because will probably be outside the range, I guess. I don't know. HCHO is testing for formaldehyde. And I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know what the mg/m3 is, but I guess it would be parts per million. Would be my guess, because usually stuff like that is gauged in parts per million. And TVOC is volatile compounds in, I assume, parts per million. Then, you heard me. So I am a goober. So hitting this button 3 times, which I completely missed it before. Okay. It's kind of hard to do. So there, it's just delayed. Okay, so look at the temperature. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it takes a second to respond. So it's not 3 times, it's 4 times. You hit the button 4 times, and it just changes the temperature display. So you can see what it's saying here now. Let me breathe on it. Apparently I've got formaldehyde and volatile compounds in my mouth. You would think the CO2, which I don't know what is a good, bad, or ugly reading on CO2, and it does have brackets to be able to mount it on a wall. So I don't know really how useful that gauge right there would be, but at least in seeing these right here, I would see this being useful in areas that you may be using cleaning chemicals, such as the kitchen. And I don't know if it has an alarm. It does have a speaker-like spot on the back, but I don't see anything in there, so I don't really think it has a speaker. But it may. I don't know. It may have some kind of an alarm function. Excuse me. So I would see it being useful in an area like that. So if you're painting or working with some kind of solvents, doing something, 3D printing using resin, different things like that, I believe this would be a very useful item to have around while you're doing something like that, to at least give you an idea of volatile compounds. I don't know what all that would be looking at as far as volatile compounds, CO2 level. I would assume if that hits a 4-digit number, then that would really be bad. I don't know what is good, bad, or ugly for environments, but if you'll give me a second, I'll look it up and we'll go through that. Okay, so we'll start with CO2. So The intranet says that general indoor environments, indoor settings, a CO2 concentration of 400 to 1,000 ppm. So, so we're within that range. Formaldehyde means, HCHO. Formaldehyde means the chemical substance HCHO, chemical substrates, service registry number, blah, 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 blah. The employer shall ensure that no employee is exposed to an airborne concentration of formaldehyde which exceeds 0.75 parts formaldehyde per million parts of air, 0.75 ppm as a 8-hour TWA. That's as long as it's 0.75 or below. So correct me in the comments below, please, if I'm wrong. But so this reading right here, HCHO 0.75 or below, MgM3 would be acceptable. The TVOC, which is volatile compounds, acceptable levels of TVOC ranges from 0.3 to 0.5 mg/m3 of concentration. For 0.5 mg/m3 of TVOC concentration levels onwards, the concern is considered to be considerable or high. So on TVOC, up to 0.5 is acceptable for volatile compounds. So breathing on it is 0.014 or 1.5, I think is what it showed. So 0.3 to 0.5 HCHO in this range. So according to the internet, both of these values right here, 0.3 to 0.5 mg/m3 is acceptable on both of these. And so 400 to 1,000 parts per million on CO2 is acceptable. So 1 milligram per cubic meter is apparently what that means. But I don't know why, if this is in parts per million and that's in cubic meters, and I've got it changed over to be Fahrenheit. So there's really no key combination to be able to change this. So I'm going to let this sit here, and I'm going to let it just go. I'm going to drop out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so it is pretty much staying regulated in this range. It is reading a little higher. I haven't given it time to settle completely back out again, but this would be something that you would leave setting to the side, mounted to a wall or something in possibly a paint room or a craft room or something of that nature, so that you can kind of keep track of the air quality while you're in there. Temperature, knowing my wife, is probably about accurate. Humidity, I know that for some reason the humidity runs high in this house. See, in this right here, even the CO2 is still a little bit higher. But the VOCs and formaldehyde, I have no doubt that because it is going down, it will get back down to 0.001 on each. So I think it's decently accurate, enough to at least give you some warning levels if something is dangerous in an enclosed room. You really shouldn't paint or clean stuff or anything like that in an unventilated room. But this, if you're concerned about that, I think it's a handy little thing to have, especially with resin printing. I think this would be very handy to kind of keep track of the the vapors and everything coming off of something like resin printing and or even 3D printing. I think it would be something that would be good for you to charge up, and if you're going to be, if you have a print farm, or if you have a, I hadn't heard about them, but a resin farm, it's something of that nature that you're going to be spending some time in there doing some work or whatever, even if it's ventilated or not. I think it would be worth taking this in there with you and setting it on a counter and just monitoring it from time to time while you're in there. Kind of give you an idea if you really do need to put a respirator on or not. I wouldn't rely on this if you're going to be in an enclosed, unventilated room. Definitely you should have a respirator on every single time. But if you have a ventilated room that should be evacuated properly and the atmosphere is exchanged often enough per whatever the requirements of what you're doing in that room, which you have to look that up on the internet versus whatever you're doing. This would be a good thing to tell you if for some reason or give you a warning or a heads up if your air exchanger is not functioning properly, or maybe it's gone off and you didn't know it. So I think it's a pretty neat deal. I think it does have some merits. I wouldn't rely on it personally, but I think it's a good reference device. So anyway, that's all I've got. The short and sweet, I hope, and I appreciate you spending your precious time here with me. I thank you, and God bless.